Welcome back, guys, and today we are looking at these street sharks, and I'm super excited because I never had these when I was a kid, and I always wanted them, and I would always go to friends' houses and they had them. They had these and extreme dinosaurs, and I remember it was maybe a little bit past the time that I should have been collecting toys, but I think my parents were just kind of, no, you have turtles, stick with turtles. So we really weren't collecting anything new. But when these street sharks came out, I just thought they were so cool. They were a lot bigger than turtles, and it was kind of like the next evolution of anthropomorphic figures. You know, every animal had like their own anthropomorphic toy line, and these were ones that I really wish I had. So I'm really glad Mattel re-released these because the original ones on the aftermarket are super expensive. So to get the original 4 sharks, the roster in hand now, is super exciting. So I was waiting for all 4 of them to come in before I actually opened them all, but I'm gonna have a lot of fun opening these up. And I almost debated not even opening these because the boxes are so cool, but it looks like it even comes with somewhat of a playset on the inside with the cage, and I don't know if that's how the original ones were or if this is new with this re-release. So these are pretty much the same figures you got as a kid, I believe. However, they did the Masters of the Universe kind of fashion on them. They gave them better articulation, which I think is cool. So all the boxes are pretty much the same, except they have their name, and then they have a little bio and shows what their action feature is. So like this one, Streaks, he's my favorite. I'll save him for last. And then you have Big Slamoo, Ripster, and Jab. So I think this is the original 4 roster. I'm not going to collect more than this, and I'll explain why at the end. But first, let's go ahead and get these open and out of the box. All right, folks, here we are. We have all 4 of the original members of Street Sharks. I know there's some later characters that came on. I know there's like a killer whale, but this is all I need. I just want the original roster of the 4 heroes because I want to do a shelf of like 90s anthropomorphic creatures. So mainline teams to go with my extra set of turtles. I think it'll be a really cool shelf to have. So Street Sharks has to be on there. Now these aren't made for 1/12 scale. I don't think that'll happen. Maybe it will, but I think these will still complement the mutant kind of side of 90s toy collecting. So we're going to go one by one and look at them. But first, let's take a look at this cage. And this came with every figure. I think it's really cool. It's pretty much open on the bottom. And I think that this does open up. So we'll see. See if there's a... Oh, yeah. So you can just... Well, not as easy as I thought. Okay. So you can just kind of open it up on the side there. And then... Whoop. So it can kind of fold out, open. So if you want to have like a little diorama piece, you can use this. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to pretty much put that back together so I don't mess it up. But a cool piece to kind of store them. So you can just put them right underneath there. Just kind of trap them in. So that's cool. I'll put that other side on, but you get the idea. So cool display piece. I'll probably keep those out because I like the way they look. So let's start looking at these Street Sharks one by one. And one thing I like about these is that no matter what color they are, they all have this like metallic finish. That's pretty cool. Even with a brown colored shark, he still kind of has that sparkly kind of metallic finish to the skin. And this is textured. It's like almost rubber. So I guess it's made to feel like shark skin, which is pretty cool. So I think that's nice. Now, I don't know what the original articulation was like, but I do know that these have some bit of upgrade, and each one comes with at least 2 action features. So most of the action features that they all come with are kind of the opening of the jaw, which is pretty cool. You just push down on that fin there, which is pretty awesome. And going over some of the articulation, I do believe this is new with the newer design. So this guy has some pretty big arm span, hinge at the shoulder, and then they do have a single jointed elbow. And this one twists at the hips, and then the legs, there's a single jointed knee right there, and there is some rocker and pivot on the foot, which is pretty cool. There's also a peg and a hinge at the wrist, which is neat. So that's pretty cool. You get some movement there. And this guy's big action feature is slamming, because his name is Big Slamoo. So it's pretty cool. I don't think I've opened a toy with an action feature in a while, so that's pretty neat. Design-wise, I'm assuming he was a football player based on his cleats and his football socks, his jockstrap right there. So pretty cool. Not one of my favorites. I never knew their names as a kid, but I went with him first because he's kind of just your big bruiser, but still pretty neat. Next up we have Jab, and pretty cool, a hammerhead shark. So you got the eyes on the side. Again, he has that matte kind of metallic finish, which is pretty neat. That leathery skin, love that. Again, his action feature, his mouth actually really opens. So even though he's a hammerhead and the mouth's on the bottom, they did find a way to engineer that pretty cool, which I think is in line with the original. Again, has the hinge at the shoulder, single jointed elbow, and then you can spin his hand and there's a hinge there. So pretty neat. Does spin at the waist, move his legs, single jointed knee, and then his boot doesn't really have a swivel. You can just kind of turn it side to side, which is pretty cool. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think the original used to shoot this off. This one doesn't do it, which I'm kind of glad it doesn't because I don't want to have to like look for it if it goes flying off. But this, if you bring his arm down, then the front part flies forward. So I think that's pretty cool. So I like the way that looks. So this is Jab. And if I'm not mistaken, Ripster is the leader of the group. I think so. Again, I don't remember watching this show, but I think he was the leader, if I had a guess. And he had that cool kind of design of like a biker with the cowboy boots. So pretty nice. And this, I believe he's a great white. So he also does have the feature. Look how that head creases. I think that looks super awesome. Arms come out. Pretty nice. Swivel. And that's also part of his action feature. So you can kind of bend it back and boom. Slams back. Man, that's really fun. To actually play with a toy with an action feature is really cool. Knee goes up, single jointed knee, and then there is a little bit of a rocker and a hinge at his boot, which I think is nice. Now, he does have that nice blue metallic finish. I'm glad they didn't go with a gray. I think the blue really stands out more, but for the leader of the group, I think he looks pretty cool. If I'm not mistaken, I think they did have some vehicles. He might have had a motorcycle. I'll have to look that up. And I saved the best for last because he's my favorite, and this is Streaks. And I believe he's a tiger shark. He has that beautiful baby blue metallic paint with the purple. Great finish, that skin. I just love the way that feels. Super cool, like all the other ones. You can hit his fin, and his mouth will open. I think he has a pretty cool snout. That's pretty neat. I always just liked him. I feel like every toy line in the 90s had a rollerblader. One that comes to mind are Stone Protectors. That was one of my favorite toy lines, and I always used to love playing with that rollerblader in that group. So pretty cool. So articulation's pretty much on par with the rest of them. So pretty neat. Single jointed arms at the shoulders and elbows, hinge at the wrist, and you can turn it. Legs come up, can kind of bend at the knee right there, and you're not going to have a pivot, but that's because of the roller skates. So I think his main function, or his main action feature, is to skate. I think he does that pretty well. Now, Streaks is the only figure that does come with alternative hands. So let me see if I can get these off. So pretty easy. And he comes with these alternative hands that have longer claws, which I think is pretty cool. I think the original had like clip-on claws that you can put. So if you want to give him a little extra toughness, you can put these pretty impressive claws on, which I think is pretty cool. But imagine this guy coming at you with his roller skates. So I'm really happy that these were re-released. I think they're super cool. But this has been a great year for revisiting some classic 90s toy lines. And this isn't the only one that I've been after. So in the same year that we get these Street Sharks, we also get these Biker Mice from Mars. So much 90s goodness. And this is post-Turtles. So there was still some cool stuff coming out after Turtles. So I mean, I never had the Street Sharks as a kid. I never had these Biker Mice from Mars, but Nacelle Toys is doing so good with these figures. I can't wait for their bikes to come out, but these are teams of characters that I've never had. So really, I want to do a shelf where I can kind of showcase them all. I have extra sets of turtles where I think it'll kind of be cool to have them all lined up, and kind of this anthropomorphic team, but between Street Sharks, Biker Mice from Mars, I have the Cowboys and Mesa coming. That's really kind of the meat and potatoes of a lot of the anthropomorphic characters that I have. There's some other ones that I really like, but I don't think they'll ever be made. The Mighty Ducks had some great figures from that old cartoon show. I thought those were great. And there's some other ones that I think they've made, like Bucky O'Hare. I don't have any of those. I know some companies have done them, but just trying to think of what other characters would look great on sort of this 90s inspired shelf. And so far, filling out these two rosters has been really fun. Really excited about Nacelle Toys. Can't wait to see what else they do. But for now, filling out these two teams is a dream that the 90s me would have been really proud of. That's it, folks. I think I've gotten through all the toys that I've had sitting around, and I've been waiting to do videos on them. I've just been lazy, honestly. But now that I've gotten these last unboxings out of the way, I'm excited to just finally get in the garage now that it's nice and cool, start working on my next project. I'll kind of give you a hint above here of what that's going to be, and finally start cutting into some foam. It's been super hot in the garage, but now it's so nice out that I'm ready to start working on some projects. And now I can kind of reset the toy room, get a lot of the new kind of figures that I've gotten into their forever spot, and get working on these projects. So hope you enjoyed this one. Just a quick little unboxing. If you did, hit like and subscribe. And until the next episode, folks, we'll catch you next time.